the likes of Inishivin in Galway. That's an accommodation place for people.
Yes.
But
That was after night.
yeah.
Well, I suppose we should be putting pressure on our politicians to.
That's
Now that we have a minister in the constituency, and get that funding.
I couldn't believe it when I was reading. I heard about it. I couldn't believe it. It's very bad. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And like some people, who volunteer to do fundraising, they raise huge amount of money.
Yes.
Well, Erris in general seems to be a good spot for raising money for all
charities.
The people of Erris are very, very extremely generous. And there are so many organisations as well, but they still keep giving.
They do. And every organisation will tell you that, that what they get from fundraising is so important for starters, but it's a huge amount of money.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Now, on your coffee morning, you do collect some money on the coffee morning, I take it.
Unfortunately,
a donation. People and people gave.
Yeah.
It was something quite funny actually. There's a Keep Fit class for ladies out with Michael Ducey on a Friday morning, and one of our
Brian prosthesis services in Elmullet, and that's a huge success. And that was a great day because the people who could bake baked, and people who could cook cooked. It was really a great day. There was lunch and food throughout the day as well.
That is a good service as well, because not everyone can travel to avail of these services, and when it's good.
But the support you give to cancer patients, that's very important, I think, because I know my own case. I was still working, and I went back to sea, and you were kind of on your own.
Yes.
And even though, in one way, it did toughen me up. That I said I have to do this myself, but it would have been grand to have someone that you could have talked to, because I've spoken to people since who didn't know I had suffered from cancer, and they kind of look at me in amazement and say, "You mean you had cancer?" I said, "Yeah, twice," and I'm out the other end, and it gives great encouragement.
It does. And the house is the other. Whoever wants, you can call in. I think they're open 4 days a week, about 20 hours a week. So that's split over 4 days. There's lots of information there available to anyone who needs it or wants it. Yeah. Always someone there to make a cup of tea, have a chat, just so they can call in at any time.
The other thing I find is also a great service for Erris, excuse me, is the local link and the Travel for Ireland transport. We had nothing a couple of years ago, but now the bus goes to Castlebar 3 times a day. Yeah. And I'm not quite sure how often it goes to Ballina, but I know that people can now go to their appointments in Castlebar and come down again in the evening, and there are a lot of people who can't drive or, they're getting old and, they're not fit for that road to Castlebar, and that's a fantastic service. And I know somebody who had an appointment in Galway. They got the early bus from Belmullet, got the connecting bus to Galway, and we're back down in Castlebar again for the 6 o'clock bus.
Yeah, it is. It's a tremendous service. And people give out about the Green Party and Eamon Ryan, but that was one of the best things that ever happened in the country.
One of the best things that ever happened.
The rural service.
Yeah. And even for socialisation for people,
I wasn't aware of it myself, because sometimes, you go to Castlebar and you just want to get something, small thing.
Yeah.
And you can hop on it, and especially when you're a senior citizen.
And free charge as well. What's wrong with that? What's not to like?
And be back down. It's fantastic service. Yeah.
Well, it's very efficient.
It is.
It's on time.
Yeah. Bang on.
Well, we have you two here, and as somebody who's travelled with various female members of my family up to the car park behind the cathedral in Ballina. I think we need to say how important it is for people to
go for breast screening and also for
absolutely, without
and for the smear tests. Yes. And Early detection in any cancer is vital. Early detection.
You hear of so many people who are diagnosed through breast check, and so many people who are diagnosed through bowel check. That's very important. Again, the bowel screening.
What are the symptoms that you need to? Sorry, go ahead.
I had bowel cancer first, and then 10 years later, I had got liver cancer. But I would never have known about the liver, only that they were screening me.
I
had no symptoms. I was working, I was eating, I was no pain, nothing. And it was just because, and I think that put me out 2 years at that stage, checks. And they picked up the little bit in the corner. Lucky. Well, as you said, it's very important to screen.
Early detection.
Well, I would have found the same because I actually had a lump in my breast, and it was because my sister, who was younger than me, was diagnosed with breast cancer about 2 years before that, and but my lump didn't show up cancer on the mammogram. And I persisted and said that I wanted to go further with it. And I did. And yes, it was. It was breast cancer. And even the last, mine recurred again the year before last. And it was through, I was checked in February. And in May, I found the lump myself. And it is very, very important for women to check themselves regularly. In the shower is an ideal place to do it. You have time, and you can do it much easier, like when you're standing up in the shower. And I think it's very important to do that.
What are the symptoms that people should look for? Now, in the inner body or in the outer body? If you have breast cancer, you look for lumps or something like that. But there must be other symptoms that people should be aware of.
Well, that would be for melanoma, I would imagine.
Like we said earlier on, early detection.
Yes, it's so important.
There's not a lot. It doesn't seem to be a lot known about esophageal cancer. And again, people are swallowing bottles of Gaviscon or whatever they can for heartburn, and really, that should be checked out because they think it's heartburn, but it could well be esophageal cancer. When I was diagnosed, my symptom was difficulty swallowing, but never enough to put me off my food. I still managed to get it down me. I looked well, I felt well. So it was a complete shock. But I just happened to mention it to my GP as I was leaving the surgery. I'd gone about something else. And she said, we'll send you for a scope. I got that scope within a week, and it just happened. Everything, it was all over, really. Within 2 or 3 months, I'd been in St. James's and had major surgery to have the esophagus removed. But that was a very simple thing. It was just a little tickle in the throat. And I just mentioned it to the GP. I wouldn't have gone especially. And she actually sent me straight away for a scope. So,
But for something like prostate or bowel cancer or something like that, what are the symptoms? There must be symptoms that you look for as well.
Well, I'd say for prostate, you will have frequency on passing urine, or maybe difficulty in passing urine. The PSA test, of course, that's done by the GP, and if there's any change in that, immediately, you're referred to a urologist, and they take it from there. Bowel cancer, if you don't go through bowel screen, if you notice any blood whatsoever in the toilet or on the toilet paper, you get that looked into straight away. Others are known as the silent ones. Kidney, it gets very advanced before you even know you had it. Liver and pancreas would be the same. Ovary would be the same. I think now, for medical people listening to me saying these things, they'll probably go off their heads, saying she doesn't know what she's talking about. But I'm just going from what I kind of think myself.
Sure, you were a medical person yourself.
Yes. But just for example, like when I was diagnosed with breast cancer the first time, they did a routine scan on me, which they don't normally do, but felt that the tumour was a bit close to the chest wall, and in case there would be anything in the rib cage, they just did the CT and found a tumor in my kidney at the same time.
Would something
Mine
like
wouldn't have been found.
shortage of breath, would that indicate?
That would be for lungs.
Yeah.
You know, coughing, shortage of breath, maybe coughing up blood, or you know, and the GP, I'm sure, will send you for X-ray scans or whatever. But the important thing is to go to the GP early.
Well, that's the secret.
And a lot
as we've already said, an awful lot of these things don't manifest any other. You know, there are no other signs that you have it. So
well,
it's
that
just
happened to me the second time I delivered. I had no symptoms whatsoever. None.
Gosh, I hope we're not frightening half your audience away now.
But I
think you're educating the audience.
The medical staff themselves in Galway and Dublin that I dealt with, they were fantastic. And I remember the first time with the colon cancer, I'd been diagnosed in Germany, and they had all the shots and pictures. Came home, they said to me there, we can do it here, operate, or you can go home and be nearer home.
Yeah.
So I rang my GP, and he said, you come home and we'll get you. I went to Galway 3 days before Christmas, and expecting just a consultation. And my wife was with me, and went in, and he looked at the pictures, and he said, yeah. Right, he says, tomorrow.
Oh, God.
I nearly fell off the chair.
How long ago was this, Ted?
Oh, that was 20 years ago.
Okay.
And I thought, well, he's not going to take me in before Christmas. He says, we'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, but I think cancer nowadays is not the threat it used to be, but still in all, you have to realize what the symptoms are, and you have to get it early for it not to be a threat.
Exactly.
So it's very important for people to know what to look for.
And also to go
the action to take then.
And also to go for the check, because
go for the checkup.
Don't wait to see what the manifestation is of the symptoms, because by then
men are worse than women.
Oh yeah, notorious.
Not going. You know, I don't want to know.
Yes, there's that, and then there's the other thing. I think that you'd say, God, he'll think I'm imagining it, you know. I'm making a fool of myself, like going in here, and I'm imagining it, you know. And then you leave it, you know, until
you don't want to bother the GP
either,
do you? But it's better to be sure than sorry.
Yeah.
Well, we all have to be proactive in our health, really, in every way. I think that's important. If we leave things too late, it's harder to fix then.
Yeah, it's the same with anything. If you leave it too long.
But the organisation now, like Cara, you said you're associated with the national organisation as well. So it is countrywide, is it?
Yeah.
But all the fundraising done in Erris stay in Erris for the support of people from Erris, because we have challenges here that probably other places don't, in terms of, you know, having to travel long distance. It can be a financial burden on people.
The local link is a help from
I think it's excellent.
And the neighbours can be very helpful as well. If someone's in trouble,
and people
hop in the car and we'll go to Castlebar.
So many people will offer to bring you, and you know, if you need them, and they offer, take up the offer, you know, because they're not going to offer if they're not going to want to do it. They shouldn't offer if they don't want to do it.
But and it's a big help to, you know, people when they get the diagnosis, they're naturally despondent, and it's an awful diagnosis to get. But when they see the likes of you ladies and me that have gone through it and come out the other end, you know, it gives them great encouragement.
And it does, Ted.
I was going to say the treatments have changed so much as well. Like in the last 25 years, we'll say, like when I was diagnosed that time, and when all women were diagnosed with cancer that time, it was chemotherapy and radiotherapy. Now, when you are diagnosed and you have your surgery, your tumor is sent away, and they will be able to tell I'm not quite sure how they do it, but they will be able to tell you whether, the risk of reoccurrence, whether it's low, medium or high. So if it's medium, I'm not quite sure. I think they might or they mightn't. But if it's high, you will definitely have chemotherapy. If it's low, there's no need for you to have chemotherapy. For example, when I had my reoccurrence the year before last, I didn't need radiotherapy or chemotherapy, which was great. I recovered so much faster, and I was out and about again in 6 weeks.
Yeah, and that's it. When I had it, they did give me chemotherapy. The attitude was, belt and braces kind of. Just in case.
It was just in case.
Did you say they don't do that?
No.
Yeah.
I was lucky in my case. I didn't have chemotherapy. They took the esophagus away, and therefore then made a new one from my stomach. And when they took the esophagus away, the cancer went with it. So thank God I didn't have to have any of that treatment.
But you can be lucky and unlucky as well with the chemo, because it had no effect on me.
Really?
Very little, nothing. The only time it would affect me is if I ate a big meal.
All right, okay.
And there was a friend of mine in Galway. I was getting it in Galway. And, his wife, I actually went ashore. I worked in the office for 6 months, and they used to invite me for a meal. And she was a real woman that's a monster feeding in front of me. And I had to go work my way through this. And the next day I'd be dying with heartburn. That was the only effect I had. I used to kind of dread this.
Well, we used to find, you'd have it. Maybe we'll just say on a Tuesday, and then by Thursday, my God, to be just sitting in, and I used to have a good week, every 3 weeks I used to go. The second week was great. I'd be full of energy. I'd be doing things. I cleaned out presses that I never cleaned out in my life before, and I had all this energy. And back you go then again for another.
You mean you wrecked the kitchen?
Oh yeah. I mean, you'd have all these plans for refurbishment and everything, but I didn't see it through.
That still happens, huh?
And that was the effects of what?
I don't know.
The chemo.
Getting over it, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I suppose chemotherapy can be a bit severe, but not as severe as untreated cancer.
Yes, absolutely.
So anybody with cancer should immediately
go
whatever treatment is advised.
Put it off. Don't pretend it's not there, because if it's there, you need to.
And if you need support, carers are there.
Absolutely.
And we're not medically trained, obviously, but we're there to sort of.
We've been there. We've been through it. And there's always somebody to talk to, who's been through different types of cancer.
Yeah, that's important, and I suppose I should do more on that line myself. But between coming and going,
I know.
But
well, thank you very much for coming in and explaining.
Thank you for inviting us.
A, about Erris, and B, about your personal experiences. It's been very interesting just to listen to you. And I know the pair of you were terrified coming in.
We were.
And I hope we haven't frightened you today.
No, it's good. We can come back again.
Hopefully you'll come back.
I'm sure we will.
But you couldn't frighten them here.
We'll get someone else the next time. We've done ours.
They all seem to be busy this weekend.
Before you go, how did you get lost up here?
Well, Vincent was a student in Cork, believe it or not. And we were at a Keeley one night. And so the men got the first two choices, but the lady got the lady's choice for the third one. So I can boast that I asked him out.
There you go.
Nearly 50 years ago. And so I gave him the
think I
lady's
was
choice.
in Cork the same time.
Were you?
I think so, yeah.
We
were in the same school, actually.
Why did you ask him for a dance?
Well, he wasn't. I don't know. Well,
that's all right. You don't have to answer that.
The reason I asked him, because my friend was there as well. And she said, I go up and ask the fellow that asked me if you go up and ask his friend.
So it was a bet.
So she
That's how
did.
it was done.
She-
No,
she-
Eddie.
That's how it was done.
That's how
And
it was
Bridget,
done.
you had to run to England to get the
Yeah.
I did,
had
and
you?
I came back with a Scotsman. I worked in Kensington, and a girl in the office who worked with me did part-time job in the White City Greyhound Stadium. And the White City Greyhound
And
Stadium.
is he a Scotsman?
He's Scots, but this anyway. I went there and I winked at
like
him.
myself.
She winked at him.
I
In
winked
that
at him.
era?
I saw yes.
God, you must have an
So
awful
I winked at him. And as he says, that's the night he went to the dog. So 53 years later, but he loves it back here. We just set it back
Well,
here now.
talking of Scotsmen, I don't know whether you know him or not. We were talking earlier. William McGonigal. He's noted as the worst poet in Scotland.
Yes.
Today's his birthday.
Is it? Oh, happy birthday, Willie.
You can go home and tell him that.
Yeah.
I thought Robbie Burns had that role.
No. Robbie was
Scotland. I was born in Scotland.
Were you? What
Oh, I
part?
was, yeah.
What part of Scotland? What part?
Airdrie.
Airdrie, all right.
Airdrie, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I came home when I was about 3 years of age.
Oh, right. So,
Yeah.
I'm still here. But
Now, you tell us now how you got lost down here.
yeah. I vaguely remember Eddie coming down with the ESB. Was it
Really?
the ESB? No.
No. It was
P&T?
the Gaeltacht department.
Oh, right.
Gaeltacht
Okay, sorry, I got
department.
that one wrong.
I got a job. I came here for the mandatory 6 months, whatever it was,
Yes,
until I moved somewhere else.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But then I found the anchor.
Yeah.
And she held on.
Would you
to me.
believe it?
held-
She would
She used
not
to be
let
my
me go.
girlfriend before she was
You're
his.
joking.
Yeah.
Oh.
And did
Oh.
he steal her from you?
When he got me gone, yeah. Oh, you couldn't trust that.
God.
Wow, Eddie. Wow.
Be up to
That-
Well, I mean, she decided I was the better catch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
Small world.
And then, Paul, what brought you back here?
oh, the anchor as
Come on
well.
then. The
Yes.
anchor.
I moved down to London and I met somebody from the area, and
Okay.
eventually we moved back.
Right. How long are you here for now? How long?
13 years.
30.
Unlucky for some.
Yeah.
Oh, no. You won't leave now. You won't go
That's
back
all
now?
right. We're working on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll soon be like ourselves.
You will.
I think that there's nothing to beat Erris, really.
Oh my God. From the
Everything,
first
we've got
day
everything
I
in it.
came here, I
Uh-huh.
absolutely loved it.
How long are you here now, Anne?
50 years, nearly 50 years. But I came here, the Erris was just opening at the time. It was built and it was just opening, and they were interviewing for nurses
Yeah.
for it.
yeah.
So I did the interview. Well, I was going to come up to live here anyway because we were getting married, and did the interview for Erris and I couldn't believe it that I got it. And I loved every day I worked
Yeah.
on it, and in the community hospital as well.
Well, I think of it like this: you take a line from Derry down to Cork, and anywhere west of that, we're the same people.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And we have the same likes and the same dislikes and the same culture, the same different things.
Oh, and
Indeed.
you know,
and the
the-
things. I got a chance to move from here
yeah,
a few times, but
Yeah.
well, kind of initially I just wanted to stay for another while,
yeah,
but then if I moved, my family would be leaving home. I'd be
Yeah.
going. I could be going home, but they'd be leaving home.
Oh,
Yeah.
So,
yes,
so,
yeah.
so
It's,
it's, I mean, it's the same living here as living in Gweedore, where I
yeah,
come from.
yeah.
Yeah.
I worked with a lot of people that were from the East Coast and from Cork City. And, you know, when they'd find out you're from a corner of Mayo way out in the Atlantic, oh, God, it must be savage out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're disadvantaged. But I look at it, you've got a shop to buy food.
Yeah.
You had television, so you didn't need cinemas.
Yeah.
And you had peace and quietness.
You had,
Yeah.
Which,
yeah. I always.
so
thought
I
that.
always saw myself as being way superior to them
Oh
in
yeah,
the conditions I lived in.
and the rush in any towns, cities, whatever. I mean, you can leave here and go to work, and you're straight
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
You know. My God, Dublin is horrendous.
I had a
Like
friend
it-
from Dublin who was a salesman in tools, and he used to come travel the whole country. And I'd meet him occasionally in Dublin, and he said, I love it. He says, when I'm down there traveling from Belmullet down to Eckert, he says, and I stop and I'm looking out over the bay, he said, and I can hear the radio going in the car talking about traffic jams. And he's had a car in sight.
Yeah.
And he was a Dublin man, but he loved it.
Yeah. But have you ever met anybody who has come to visit Belmullet and they're all coming back again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. There's lots to do here, really, as well.
Okay, we're far away from some things in life, but we're far away from some of the worst things in life as well.
I mean,
there's a very good balance.
Yeah, and people are so friendly. So
and then,
nice,
like I say, if you go out with a bucket there on the streets of Balmullet, Ballina, or anywhere else, you're going to be welcomed.
You are.
And helped.
Yeah.
And the communities are helpful.
Yeah.
They help themselves.
The other thing I found when I came as well is, there was no class distinction here.
No.
Everybody was equal. That there was no such thing as somebody being above anybody else. But that's what I found. Anyway.
Well, they were quickly brought down. Yeah. So that's it. Well, it was
the classes things years and years ago. It was in some towns like along the west coast of Ireland, and kind of I remember the town where I came up from. If we go in there maybe for a visit here and saying a lot of country folk in today. Whatever they're looking for.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be politically correct nowadays to say.
No.
What kind is? I mean, whatever. We're all the same.
Yeah.
We're all the same.
I came from a small village called Castletown Roach. It's halfway between Fermoy and Mallow, and there were two villages on either side. Killavullen on one side, Ballyhooly on the other side. And we're all about the same size, there were 3 or 4 shops and a few pubs and various things like that. But everybody in Castletown Roach, they really, really stuck together so much. And like if somebody got married and came in from Mallow, 10 miles away, outsiders. My poor mother came from Belfast.
The other side of the world.
Yeah. An orange woman, she was labelled.
But I couldn't understand at times people maybe from the west coast of Ireland up in Dublin, and kind of somebody would ask them where they were from. And when I was up in Donegal, they say, "Well, I'm a bit west of Letterkenny."
Yeah.
And here they say, "Bit west of Ballyhaderry," or something like that.
Yeah.
And but that day is gone. That day is gone.
Vincent always maintained, and he was so right, that people from the country who went to Dublin were far wiser than the Dubliners. They knew every corner of Dublin. They knew everything that was in it. Whereas the Dublin people, I think, stuck to their own kind of corners as well. You were from the north side, you were from the south side, you were from inner city or whatever. But the people from the country knew every place. They got jobs in pubs. They got, they walked around, and they were far cuter than, as he would say, the Dubs.
We just didn't show it.
No,
we just didn't.
Well, the Dubs, they were terribly self-centered. Anything.
Eddie, careful. Are you Dublin, James?
Yeah.
What kind of a Dublin fellow are you?
A good one.
Well, before the fighting starts, I said that we
never a fight.
I'll deal with you later.
We continued success with the Erris.
Yeah, and as we were saying, the coffee mornings we're hoping are going to get bigger and bigger.
Well, it can be a good social occasion as well. You can sit down and have a chat.
Yeah, that's the main reason.
We plan to, absolutely, and we plan to have them on the first Friday of every month. So if people put that in their diaries, please, and
Well, I hope you keep going with it, because I remember my early days in Belmullet, people used to say to me, "Well, there isn't a place where you can come out in the morning and have a cup of tea and a chat."
Now, we're not going to be there when you get up in the morning. We're not going to be there at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, you know.
I'm not going to get up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning though, because I'm very fond of the bed in the morning.
So am I.
Well, Eddie, we have earned that.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
We've been
No,
on
I
the
think
mat.
Eddie was
listen,
always fond of
girls,
the bed.
ladies, thanks very much.
Thank you very
And
much,
long,
guys.
long may you continue,
Thank
and
you.
long may you
Thank
you.
survive.
Lovely to meet you all.
Thanks,
We might get a
Canadian
bit
Boherland.
of music from our
Engineer.
Dublin over there.
Dublin engineer.
Dublin, got here.
Go on, you get
Yeah.
watch you.
No,
Ladies,
guys.
it's been a pleasure having you.
Just
Thanks
one
very
thing
much.
Before we go, I would like to thank Maureen Howard and Anna Murray. They are running the house at the moment. Maureen does the administration and Anna does the greeting people when they come and make them a cup of tea and that. And they're absolutely fantastic in their jobs. They're brilliant.
And to add to that, all our
the committee,
committee
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
sponsors and
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
everybody. Everybody.
Sure, we look forward to a chat maybe some other time as well.
Yeah, I'll get you back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for
Okay,
inviting
ladies.
us. Thank you.
Right. That is all.
In 1824, the town of Belmullet opened its doors. William H. Carter owned the land and he thought the town here should be planned. He hired a man called Patrick Knight who drew up the plans for the site. The Castlebar Road helped it to thrive and soon the strangers began to arrive. To the square, the dock, the canal and the quay, between two bays surrounded by sea. The land was low on Carter's site, but oh, what a town was planned by night. Many a visitor travelled the miles, the Royal Hotel kept them in style. J.M. Singh, G.B. Shaw and Lloyd George all gazed in awe. Jack B. Yeats and Maud Gonne, John McCormack sang us a song. De Valera, sure he came too, and Percy French admired the view. Of the square, the dock, the canal and the quay, between two bays surrounded by sea. The land was low on Carter's site, but oh, what a town was planned by night. The SS Tartar steamed its way from Pickle Point to Sligo Bay, transporting cargo and people each way, some who would never return to stay. Many have left for a faraway shore, oh, Bogo Joe, not easiest door, but the capital town of Erris their home, no matter where they did wander or roam. The square, the dock, the canal and the quay, between two bays surrounded by sea. The land was low on Carter's site, but oh, what a town was planned by night. Daughters and sons have all made their mark. Great Willie Joe rose high in Crow Park. She paved ever, ran like the wind, and Annie Mariah comes round the bend. They say it's the people that make a place, an act of kindness, a smiling face. We're blessed to know we have all that. Now round the corner comes Donald the cat. To the square, the dock, the canal and the quay, between two bays surrounded by sea. The land was low on Carter's site, but oh, what a town was planned by night. Bailon with the Baia Pio, Baia Jasnak Regunaweo, Baia Kushkladi Le Seal Dance Throw, Baia a man or Grihigo Joe. The town of Belmullet continues to grow, our tidy town in County Mayo, a town by the shore where the pace is slow, a town we cherish forevermore. And the square, the dock, the canal and the quay, between two bays surrounded by sea. The land was low on Carter's site, but oh, what a town was planned by night. The town of the barony for all sides who come to trade by road or tide. The side below, the side behind, the side above, you're all there find. We now celebrate 200 years, a town that's known laughter and tears, with the people so friendly, set it apart. Here's to Belmullet, the pride of our heart. The square, the dock, the canal and the quay, between two bays surrounded by sea. The land was low on Carter's site, Oh, what a town was black by night. The square, the dock, the canal, and the quay between two bays along the wide sea. The land was low and hard for sight, but oh, what a town was black by night. Last night I was back home with Mama, talking of our long ago. She brought out the old picture album, and there lay a dried yellow rose. When I asked about you, Martia, the rose fell apart in my hand. Mama said somewhere between the rose and the rosary, she walked away from her honky-tonk man. Via con Dios, Martia, your love is my shining star. No man said God stands between us, though you're never out of my heart. I love you though I live in